You gain nothing from underestimating your opponent. How does this relate to your world?
So a lot of the tweets that I have actually come from conversations I have with our portfolio CEOs. And so they'll say something, right? And they're like, oh, we're way better than those guys. And I think somebody said like something like that on a meeting. And I just thought about it and I was like, what a stupid thing to say. I was like, you gain nothing from that statement. I was like, you literally gain, like, what do you gain from that? You gain complacency, right? You increase the likelihood of looking stupid in the case that they do crush you, right? I was like, because on the flip side, like how many upset, like the only things that upset the guys who are on the top of the mountain is hubris. Like there's really no reason that the guy on the top of the mountain should ever lose. He has the most resources. He has the highest perspective. He has the most vision. Like he has everything. He has all the food at the top of the mountain. And yet history shows us humans act like humans. And so we lose because of our egos. And because it hurts to say, what if that person's better than me? And so I think that if you, it actually is really parallel with a different tweet that kind of took off, which was people underestimate how much smarter you can seem if you have 20 minutes of preparation.
Yeah, that's so fucking true.
Right.
Yeah,
and so like
people
get into businesses and like, well, what if you actually had to face this team? People are like, well, I don't want to practice. It's like, why not? Like, why wouldn't you practice? Like, for a lot of fighters show up not having prep for the fight, not really hard. I'm like, what do you gain from that? Because if you practice really hard, you get better, period. And like, all it is purely an ego play. The only win you get from not prepping and showing up to the fight is that you appear to be more naturally gifted, and I would rather be known for my work ethic than my natural gift, as an aside, but you appear to be more naturally gifted, and then you win by less than you would if you prepared. You gain nothing. And so it's purely an ego thing, but we do it all the time. And so I wanted to, like my Twitter stream is just thoughts to self. I deleted it because I didn't have enough room on my profile to say it, but it was originally like notes to self. And it's just like to remind me of things as they come up, because I fall into that trap too. I'm like, oh, we're going to outperform this guy, or like this company's going to crush it. I'm like, but we don't gain anything from that. It's like, so we just have to assume that we're always the underdog, and then they've got a trick up their sleeve that we don't know about. It's like, that's the whole, only the paranoid survive.
A reverse of that, or something that's interesting to do with people at the top of the pyramid, is there's only one way I know to beat people who copy you, get bigger. It's not by direct conflict, but by making them shrink into irrelevance by comparison.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
I mean, especially when it comes to content creation, I imagine that this is something that you see one thing that becomes effective, and then downstream from that, a lot of stuff happens. Yeah. And if you've done the hard work of forging ahead, trailblazing, pathfinding, split testing, wow, we finally came up with this thing, and then within 4 weeks, you're like, oh, brilliant, this is all over the internet now.
Well, I always see it as like a first mover thing, which is like, they need me, I don't need them. They require me in order to iterate their content. I don't, because I don't look at theirs to make mine.
Yep.
And it's because like
everybody knows, man, as well. Everybody knows. Oh. Every single person that's copying thumbnails, that's copying subtitle styles, that's going after the same talking points. Right. They know deep down that what they're doing is creating a rough-hewn, pixelated equivalent of what they think they can try and be. At best, what you can hope for is being the second best Alex Hormozi in the world.
Right. And I'll win that game. But like, they would beat me at being whoever they are.
Correct.
I mean, it sounds so trite, but like, I'm trying to say this in a different way so that it hits, because like people have heard like, there's only one version of you. Like, there's just so much actual meat to that concept, because this is, Gary originally did the document, don't create thing. And I think that the reason that the content that we have is, quote, original is because like we document, I document through Twitter the things that come up in my actual life. And so it's not like, what's trending right now? It's like, well, I had this meeting with the CEO and he fucking said that thing about the competitor, and that's my tweet.
And there wasn't somebody else in the meeting also going, oh, brilliant, that's a lesson that I can take that I can use for my Twitter.
Right. Yes. And so it's all from like original source. And if everyone else, like, and this is on the flip side, if you're the person who's doing this, like, you need to find what your original source is of content, because like you will always be second, or Second, you'll never be first is really the statement. And like, at least for me, if I'm playing a game, I want to play for the long haul. And the point of the game is to keep the game going. And if you want to keep the game going, then you can't be dependent on someone else.